Did you know that over 70% of people admit they've been publicly humiliated at least once in their lives? Humiliation doesn't just hurt emotionally, it can actually lower your confidence and self-esteem. Some studies even show it's one of the main reasons people struggle with anxiety in social situations. When we find ourselves in this situation, most of us freeze or worse, lash out and regret it later. But what if I told you there are ways you can respond that can completely change the game? A response that shuts down the humiliation, leaves your dignity intact, and even earns you respect. Humiliation is something we've all experienced at some point in our life, and let's face it, it's never a good feeling. Whether it's someone making a sarcastic remark about your work, a so-called friend sharing a private joke at your expense, or even strangers trolling you online. These moments can shake us to the core, and let's be honest, no one teaches us how to handle these situations properly. We're either told to shrug it off or stand up for yourself. But what does that even mean? Shrugging it off often makes you feel small, and standing up for yourself, it's easy to lose control and end up escalating the situation. So this is where the challenge starts. How do you shut down humiliation in a way that's calm, collected, and incredibly effective? That's exactly what we're going to figure out today. In this video, we're diving into some effective tips and psychological techniques inspired by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. These strategies won't just help you navigate humiliating situations calmly, they'll also help you gain respect from those around you, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll feel ready to handle anything life throws your way. Before we begin, please subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing videos like this. Let's get started. The psychology of humiliation. Why do people humiliate others? It's a question we've all asked ourselves after being on the receiving end of a stinging remark or a cutting look. On the surface, it may feel like the attack is all about you, your actions, your personality, your perceived flaws. But the truth is that humiliation, more often than not, is less about you and more about the person inflicting it. At its core, humiliation is a power play. It's a tactic some use to assert dominance in social settings or to feel superior in the moment. Think about it. The grumpy coworker who calls you out in a meeting. The family member who cracks a joke at your expense. The stranger online who lobs an unprovoked insult your way. Their actions often stem from a desire to position themselves as more competent, clever, or worthy in the eyes of others. You'll find that this behavior rarely comes from a place of genuine strength. Instead, it's often rooted in insecurity. People who humiliate others are frequently grappling with their own fears, doubts, and inadequacies. Their insults serve as a mask, a way to divert attention from their vulnerabilities by shining an uncomfortable spotlight on someone else. When they make you feel small, they momentarily convince themselves they are bigger. Think about this. Have you ever noticed that those who are genuinely confident and secure in themselves rarely resort to humiliating others? They don't need to. True strength is quiet, steady, and grounded. It uplifts rather than tears down. Now let's bring in some timeless wisdom to ground this understanding. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In the context of humiliation, this is a game changer. You cannot always control what others say or do. People will lash out, project their issues, and attempt to provoke you. But their actions don't have to dictate your emotions or your response. The most important truth you'll learn today is that humiliation only has power if you grant it. When someone attempts to belittle you, they are handing you a choice. Do you allow their words to define your worth, or do you see their behavior for what it is? A reflection of their internal struggles, not your value. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot change external events, we can master our internal world. How you interpret the situation, how you process it, and how you respond, these are entirely within your control. And in that control lies your power. So the next time someone tries to humiliate you, take a deep breath and remember this. Their behavior says everything about them and nothing about you. Your response, however, says everything about your strength, your character, and your ability to command respect. The calm gaze technique. Let's take you at a family dinner, surrounded by familiar faces, when someone makes a sharp remark aimed directly at you. It's a subtle comment, but you know it's meant to hurt you. The eyes in the room flicker in your direction, waiting for your response. Now you have a choice. You can engage in the verbal sparring, fire back with a witty retort, and this is where the power lies, the calm gaze. You can remain calm, unfazed, and hold their gaze. This is the foundation of the calm gaze technique. It may seem simple, even small, but its impact is powerful. When someone attempts to undermine you, often the first instinct is to respond immediately. To defend yourself, to justify your actions, to fight back. But in doing so, you give them power over you. They've succeeded in drawing you into their game. But here's the secret. Body language often speaks louder than words. Your posture, your expression, and your eye contact can communicate volumes without you saying a single word. When someone insults or humiliates you, instead of reacting with anger or embarrassment, hold their gaze calmly and steadily. Don't fidget, don't break eye contact, and don't shrink away. Stand tall in the presence of their attempt to diminish you. Why does this work? It's about control. By maintaining a calm and unflinching gaze, you send a message that their words do not affect you. You're not rattled. You're not intimidated. Your silence, paired with a steady strength in your eyes, communicates something far more powerful than any sharp response ever could. This technique works because it mirrors the Stoic concept of apatheia, the state of being unaffected by external forces. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you remain composed and unyielding in the face of an attempt to humiliate you, you reinforce your inner peace and protect your emotional state from the external chaos of others' negativity. You're at a family gathering, the kind where everyone has their opinion and the tension is always just below the surface. Your cousin, in a loud offhand manner, makes a comment designed to put you down, maybe even in front of the whole table. It's subtle enough to escape immediate notice, but you know it's meant to undermine you. Everyone turns to you, anticipating a reaction. Instead of clenching your fists, rolling your eyes, or snapping back, you do the unexpected. You look at them directly with calm eyes, no judgment, no anger. You don't smile, but you don't scowl either. You simply look at them, composed and serene. Their words hang in the air, but they do not affect you. The room, unsure of how to respond to your stoic calm, falls silent. The energy shifts. The power dynamics are flipped. You've taken control of the moment. You have to remember that this technique doesn't just happen overnight. It's a skill that requires practice and presence of mind. The next time you're in a situation where someone attempts to humiliate you, try using this technique. Begin in low-stakes, non-confrontational situations, maybe with a colleague or in a casual social setting. Practice holding a calm, steady gaze when someone says something dismissive or critical. Over time, it will become second nature, and your confidence in deflecting humiliation will grow. Remember, the calm gaze isn't about showing no emotion at all. It's about mastering your emotional state so that others cannot manipulate it. It's about projecting inner strength that remains unwavering no matter how others try to shake you. In doing so, you reclaim your power, and the humiliation you were once subjected to is deflected back to the instigator. The repeat the joke method. The repeat the joke method is another technique that may sound simple, but it's incredibly effective when it comes to disarming someone who tries to humiliate you with a joke. The premise is deceptively straightforward. When someone makes a joke at your expense, instead of getting upset or reacting defensively, ask them to repeat it. It might sound counterintuitive, right? Why would you draw more attention to the insult? The power here lies in your ability to shift the dynamic. When someone tries to humiliate you with a joke, they're often hoping to get a reaction. They want to see you squirm, laugh awkwardly, or get defensive. But by calmly asking them to repeat it, you not only neutralize the joke, but you also highlight the inappropriateness of their words. Think about it. When a person repeats a joke, especially one that's meant to insult or embarrass, it forces them to confront the absurdity of their own words. Suddenly, the joke loses its bite. It's no longer a clever remark that puts you on the defensive. It becomes an awkward, uncomfortable moment that exposes their lack of social awareness. Let me share an example. There was this one time when I was at a social gathering, and a friend thought it would be funny to share an embarrassing story about me from years ago. They laughed and everyone joined in, hoping to see me react. It was one of those situations where the humor was at my expense, and I could feel the collective gaze of the room shifting onto me. But instead of looking embarrassed or angry, I calmly said, "Oh, that's interesting. Could you repeat that for me? I'm not sure I heard you the first time." At first they hesitated. The room became a bit quieter, and they repeated the story, but this time it didn't sound as funny. The humor had faded and the awkwardness settled in. It was as if the room had shifted focus, and instead of the laughter being directed at me, it was now on them. It was a small moment, but it worked. Their attempt to humiliate me lost its power because they had to repeat it. It felt forced and awkward, and suddenly I was the one in control. This approach works because it's a demonstration of emotional composure. Stoicism teaches us to detach ourselves from the judgment and opinions of others. In moments of potential humiliation, we have the power to control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. By asking someone to repeat their joke, we turn their attempt to humiliate us into an opportunity for us to exercise our power over our emotions. We control how we feel about the situation, not the person making the joke. This method also highlights the absurdity of the insult or the joke. The more you ask someone to repeat a remark that was meant to be funny at your expense, the more the room begins to see the joke for what it is: shallow, unnecessary, and actually quite rude. The focus shifts from you, the target, to the awkwardness of the situation. Of course, you don't want to come across as sarcastic or mocking. The goal is not to escalate the situation, but to calmly diffuse it. The trick is in how you ask them to repeat it. Keep your tone neutral, your body language relaxed, and your expression composed. By doing so, you allow the other person's words to become their own downfall. They may find themselves rethinking the joke entirely, or at the very least, feeling a little less empowered in the moment. Just as with the calm gaze technique, the repeat the joke method requires practice. Start with smaller situations where the stakes are lower. The next time someone cracks a joke at your expense, try calmly asking them to repeat it. See how it shifts the power dynamic. Over time, you'll build confidence in using this technique and find that it becomes a natural response. Redirection with a neutral question. Sometimes the best way to respond to an attempt at humiliation isn't to react at all. It's to redirect the conversation entirely. This strategy, known as the redirection with a neutral question, is a powerful way to shift the focus away from the attack and back onto something neutral or positive. This method works by strategically introducing a completely unrelated topic, something so neutral and uncontroversial that the person trying to humiliate you has no choice but to engage with it, or more often than not, be left in an awkward silence. For example, let's say you're at a dinner party and someone decides to make a cutting remark about your appearance or your career instead of engaging with their negativity. Try shifting the conversation with a simple, unassuming question like, "By the way, have you been to that new Italian restaurant downtown? I've heard great things about it." Suddenly, you've changed the dynamic. The focus is no longer on you, and it forces the other person to either awkwardly keep pushing the same line of attack or simply join you in a new topic that has nothing to do with their attempt at humiliation. This technique is not about avoiding confrontation in a cowardly way. It's about choosing not to fuel negativity or drama. By introducing a neutral question, you take the conversation off the path. The other person was trying to steer it toward a path that was designed to embarrass you, and because your question is unrelated to the subject at hand, it forces the other person to either continue making themselves uncomfortable or shift gears entirely. It's subtle, but incredibly effective. Let me give you an example from a recent gathering I attended. An old friend of mine was being particularly snarky, making comments about a decision I had made a few years ago. I could feel the tension building, and I knew if I reacted, the situation would only escalate. Instead of taking the bait, I smiled and said, "Hey, has anyone been to that new hiking trail up north? I heard the views are amazing. We should plan a trip sometime." The conversation completely shifted. Everyone began discussing the hike, and the awkward moment passed without further comment on my personal life. The person who had been making the snide remarks was now completely disarmed and had nothing else to add. It wasn't even an intentional power play, it was just a calm, collected response that refused to indulge negativity. By introducing a neutral question, I took the focus off myself and the attack and steered the energy of the room towards something more constructive. This technique is aligned with the Stoic philosophy of choosing what you give your energy to. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste time on what you cannot control. Control your actions and responses and let go of everything else." In the context of humiliation, you cannot control the words or actions of others, but you do have the power to decide how you respond. By redirecting the conversation, you take control of the situation without engaging in conflict or drama. It's a reflection of the Stoic principle that we are only responsible for our own responses, not for the behavior of others. Practically speaking, when you notice someone trying to humiliate you or make a cutting remark, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? More often than not, the answer will be no, and that's when you can take action. Shift the focus by introducing a neutral question. It's an easy yet profound way to de-escalate potential tension and maintain control over your emotional state. To practice this, start by looking for opportunities in your everyday interactions. The next time someone makes an awkward or hurtful comment in a conversation, see if you can calmly shift the focus by asking a completely unrelated question. You'll likely find that this small but powerful tactic can diffuse tension in ways that leave you feeling calm, centered, and in control. The beauty of this technique is in its simplicity. You don't need to defend yourself, justify your actions, or retaliate. You just shift the energy of the conversation, and in doing so, you take back your power without confrontation. It's a way to keep your emotional peace intact and choose what you give your focus to, refusing to let negativity dominate your day, walking away with confidence. There are times when the most powerful thing you can do in response to humiliation is to simply walk away. It sounds simple, yet it can be one of the most empowering choices you make. Walking away isn't about running from conflict or admitting defeat. It's about choosing to protect your peace, your dignity, and your sense of self-worth. When you find yourself in a toxic environment, whether it's a group of people, a conversation, or a setting that's filled with negativity, it's crucial to recognize when it's time to leave. You don't need to explain yourself or justify your actions. The very act of walking away signals that you value yourself too much to stay in an environment that undermines you. This can be incredibly freeing and allows you to regain control over your emotional well-being. When you leave a situation that is filled with humiliation or disrespect, you take back your power. You don't allow others' words or behaviors to dictate your emotional state. You decide to walk in your own direction towards something more positive and affirming. I think back to a time when a close friend was constantly belittling me in front of others. Their remarks were subtle but frequent, designed to undermine my confidence. I stayed in the friendship for far too long, hoping that things would improve or that they would realize how hurtful their behavior was. One day, during a social gathering, they made yet another cutting comment. It was the last straw. Instead of staying and enduring more of the same, I quietly excused myself and left. I didn't make a scene, didn't argue, and didn't try to explain myself. I simply left, and in doing so, I reclaimed my peace. Leaving that toxic situation felt empowering. It wasn't about walking away from the friendship forever, but about protecting my own self-respect. It was a reminder that I am not obligated to stay in situations where my worth is diminished. Sometimes choosing to walk away is the ultimate act of self-care and self-respect. It signals that you won't tolerate humiliation, not because you're afraid of confrontation, but because you understand that you deserve better. This is where the wisdom of Stoic philosophy comes into play. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The power to walk away is rooted in this very mindset. It's about recognizing that you have the authority to control your environment and choose what you expose yourself to. By walking away from a toxic situation, you're not conceding defeat. You're choosing to protect your mental peace, preserve your dignity, and uphold your self-worth. Walking away may seem counterintuitive, especially if you've been conditioned to fight or endure in the face of humiliation. However, as the Stoics teach us, true strength comes from within, and sometimes the strongest action is the one that allows you to reclaim your inner peace and remove yourself from negativity. It's not a weakness to walk away, it's a powerful affirmation of your right to protect your emotional well-being. So how can you begin to incorporate this into your own life? Pay attention to situations or people that consistently drain your energy, make you feel disrespected, or humiliate you. Walking away is a conscious decision to protect your peace. Remind yourself that you always have the power to walk away from any situation. Regardless of how invested you may feel in it, it can be hard to walk away when we feel an obligation to stay. But remind yourself that leaving isn't selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. You don't need to explain yourself or apologize for choosing your well-being over negativity. Let go of any feelings of guilt or fear about others' judgment. You have every right to remove yourself from situations where you're not being treated with respect. Walking away isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing your peace over being entangled in negativity. The true strength in walking away lies in your ability to detach from external judgment and protect your inner sense of worth. Just as Marcus Aurelius advised, by taking control of your mind, you're reclaiming your power, and in doing so, you're choosing to protect your most valuable asset, your peace. Why this works so? Why do these techniques work? They work because they fundamentally shift the dynamics of respect. Not just how others treat you, but how you treat yourself in those moments. When you respond with grace, calm, and dignity, you take control of the situation, not by changing the other person, but by changing your response. This is where the true power lies. Stoicism teaches us a critical lesson. We cannot control other people or their actions, but we have absolute power over how we choose to respond. As Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The key here is not trying to force others to respect us or change their behavior. That's an exhausting and ultimately futile effort. Instead, true strength comes from controlling our actions and reactions. When we respond to humiliation with composure, calm, and clear boundaries, we do more than just protect ourselves from the immediate discomfort. We send a powerful message. We refuse to let anyone else's negativity dictate how we feel about ourselves. This approach doesn't just deflect the humiliation, it reestablishes the balance of respect. It shifts the power dynamics, not by confronting the aggressor directly, but by taking the higher road, the road of self-control and inner strength. In doing so, we empower ourselves to handle even the most uncomfortable situations with grace. These techniques aren't just about surviving humiliation, they're about thriving in spite of it. Each technique is a tool for maintaining your dignity, reclaiming your power, and building resilience in the face of adversity. Ultimately, this mindset aligns with the Stoic ideal of focusing on what we can control, ourselves. We stop relying on others to validate our worth, and instead we find that worth within. By mastering your reactions, you not only protect yourself from harm, but you also cultivate a deep, unshakable respect for yourself that external forces cannot tarnish. Let's quickly recap the key lessons we've learned today. First, humiliation only has power over you if you let it. Your response is the one thing you can fully control. When you stand your ground, respond with composure, and choose not to give in to the negativity, you take away its power. Your calm, composed response is the ultimate rebuttal. You don't need to fight fire with fire. Instead, you rise above with grace and dignity. By practicing these techniques, you gain the strength to deflect humiliation and assert control over your own emotional world. Always remember that respect isn't begged for, it's earned by how you carry yourself. The way you handle difficult situations speaks louder than any words ever could. Let today be the day you stop giving others control over your emotions and take back your dignity. This isn't just about handling humiliation, it's about stepping into your power and owning your worth. It's essential to recognize that the journey of reclaiming your dignity doesn't stop with mastering your response or deciding to walk away. It extends into the realms of self-reflection and personal growth. By reflecting on situations where you've faced humiliation, you're able to gain valuable insights about yourself, your triggers, and your boundaries. This practice of introspection fosters emotional intelligence, allowing you to understand why certain comments affect you deeply. Moreover, embracing vulnerability is another layer in this process. When we acknowledge our feelings instead of dismissing them, we create space for healing. Vulnerability, far from being a weakness, is a valuable component of strength. It allows us to connect with others on a deeper level and invites empathy into our interactions. Sharing your experiences and feelings with trusted friends can not only affirm your sense of self-worth, but also show you that you're not alone in facing such challenges. Additionally, building a supportive network is crucial. Surrounding yourself with positive influences can act as a buffer against negativity. When you have strong, affirming relationships, it becomes easier to deflect harmful comments and maintain your emotional resilience. Seek out those who uplift you, challenge you to grow, and respect your boundaries. These people remind you of your value and the respect you rightfully deserve. Practice gratitude as a tool for shifting your mindset. Taking a moment each day to reflect on what you're thankful for can dramatically alter your perspective. Focusing on the positives in your life can mitigate the impact of negative remarks and enhance your emotional landscape. This shift in focus reinforces your sense of self-worth, reminding you that your value isn't contingent upon the opinions of others. Lastly, invest time in your passions and interests. Engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment can greatly enhance your self-esteem. When you focus on what you love, you're less likely to be affected by outside negativity. Nurturing your interests fosters a sense of identity that roots you deeply, reminding you of your worth beyond others' judgments. Navigating the complexities of humiliation and emotional distress is not a solitary endeavor. By responding with composure, walking away when necessary, embracing vulnerability, cultivating supportive relationships, practicing gratitude, and pursuing your passions, you empower yourself to reclaim your dignity. This multifaceted approach not only helps you manage uncomfortable interactions, but also enhances your overall mental well-being, allowing you to thrive in every aspect of your life. Remember, true strength lies not in evasion, but in the conscious choice to protect your peace and maintain respect for yourself. Greetings, all of you who search for the truth. We begin a quest to improve our mornings, and consequently our existence via the principles enunciated by Stoics in antiquity. Our first step, examining our fundamental purpose in life, identifying the center between what we love and what we can do. Imagine waking up each day with a fire in your belly, a clear sense of purpose that makes hitting the snooze button feel like robbing yourself of life's richness. That's the power of Ikigai, a concept that beautifully aligns with Stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius once said, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? The things I was brought into the world to do, or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. This Roman emperor understood something crucial. Having a purpose and a reason to rise is fundamental to a well-lived life. But how do we find this purpose in our modern world? Ikigai offers us a framework. It's the sweet spot, where 4 elements intersect: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. It's not about grand world-changing missions, though it could be. For many, it's about finding meaning in the everyday. Maybe you're a teacher who loves nurturing young minds, or a baker whose perfectly crafted loaves bring joy to your community. You may be a programmer whose code makes people's lives easier. Whatever it is, your Ikigai is uniquely yours. But here's the kicker. Finding your Ikigai isn't a one-time event. It's a practice much like Stoicism itself. It requires regular reflection and adjustment, as Seneca advised. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. So how do we start this practice? Begin by asking yourself these questions each morning. 1. What activities make me lose track of time? 2. What skills do I have that others value? 3. How can I contribute to my community or the world? 4. How can I align my passions with earning a living? Write down your answers. Let them percolate. Over time, patterns will emerge, guiding you towards your Ikigai. Remember, this isn't about finding the perfect purpose. It's about progress, about moving towards a life of meaning and fulfillment. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. By starting each day with a reflection on your Ikigai, you're not just setting yourself up for a productive morning, you're laying the foundation for a life well lived. You're giving yourself a reason to get out of bed, eager to contribute your unique gifts to the world. So tomorrow, as the first light of dawn breaks, ask yourself, what's my Ikigai? What's my reason for rising? And then, my friends, rise and meet the day with purpose. As the day winds down, we find ourselves at a crucial juncture. The evening hours, we lay the foundation for tomorrow's success. In these quiet moments before sleep, the Stoics understood the power of preparation, and we do well to heed their wisdom. Seneca once wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." This rings especially true when we consider our evenings. How often do we fritter away these precious hours to wake up unprepared and overwhelmed? Let's change that narrative. Your evening routine is the secret weapon in your Stoic arsenal. It's not about rigid self-denial or joyless discipline. Instead, it's about creating a space that supports your well-being and aligns with your goals. Start by setting a clear cut-off time for work and digital distractions. Marcus advised we need to master the art of acquiescence. We need to pay attention to our impulses, making sure they don't go unmoderated, that they benefit others, that they're worthy of us. We need to steer clear of desire in any form and not try to avoid what's beyond our control. In our always-on world, stepping away from emails or social media might seem foolish, but in doing so, you're reclaiming your time and mental space. Next, take a few moments to plan for tomorrow. Jot down your top 3 priorities. This simple act sets a clear direction, ensuring you wake up purposefully. Marcus Aurelius started each day by telling himself, "I am rising to do the work of a human being." By planning the night before, you're giving yourself a head start on that noble work. Consider incorporating some light stretching or gentle yoga into your evening routine. This isn't just about physical flexibility, it's about creating a bridge between the day's busyness and the night's calm. As you move, let go of the day's tensions. Remember the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. You can't change what happened today, but can prepare for tomorrow. Reading is another powerful evening habit. Choose something inspiring or thought-provoking. The Stoics were avid readers and writers. Seneca advised we should hunt out the helpful pieces of teaching and the spirited and noble-minded sayings, which are capable of immediate practical application. Let the wisdom of great thinkers infuse your dreams. Finally, practice gratitude before you sleep. Reflect on 3 things you're thankful for. This isn't mere positivity, it's a profound Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius began his meditations with a long list of people for whom he was grateful. By ending your day with gratitude, you're training your mind to focus on the good, building resilience for whatever tomorrow may bring. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. Some nights life will intervene. That's okay. The Stoic evening routine is about intention, not rigidity. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Let your evening routine be a living embodiment of your commitment to growth and tranquility. So as the world quiets down, take charge of your evening tonight. Prepare your mind, body, and spirit for the dawn to come. In doing so, you're not just setting yourself up for a good morning, crafting a life of purpose one evening at a time. Picture this. The soft light of dawn filters through your window and you reach for your phone. Suddenly, you're plunged into a whirlpool of notifications, emails, and news updates. Sound familiar? In our hyper-connected world, morning distractions have become the norm. But the Stoics, in their timeless wisdom, would urge us to resist this modern siren song. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself in our mornings." This means taking control of our attention from the moment we wake. It's about creating a space of serenity and intention before engaging with the outside world's din. But why is this so crucial? Marcus Aurelius provides insight. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. While this might sound pessimistic, it's a call to prepare ourselves mentally for the day ahead. And how can we prepare if we immediately immerse ourselves in distractions? So let's craft a morning sanctuary. Start by keeping your phone out of arm's reach. Better yet, consider a no-screens rule for the first hour of your day. This might initially feel uncomfortable. We're addicted to that dopamine hit of new information. But in that discomfort lies growth. Instead of reaching for your device, reach for a book. The Stoics were avid readers, understanding that wisdom often comes from those who came before us or used this distraction-free time for meditation. Sit quietly with your thoughts for a few minutes. Observe them without judgment. Much as Marcus Aurelius did in his meditations, this mindfulness practice aligns perfectly with Stoic principles of self-awareness and emotional regulation. Physical exercise is another powerful way to start your day distraction-free. The Stoics understood the connection between physical and mental well-being. A morning walk, some yoga, or a quick workout can set a positive tone for the day, flooding your body with endorphins and sharpening your mind. Now I hear some of you thinking, but what about emergencies? What if someone needs to reach me to this? I'd remind you of Epictetus's words. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Most emergencies can wait an hour. And for those rare, true emergencies, trust that you'll be informed. Remember, the goal here isn't to permanently disconnect from the world. It's to start your day on your terms, to approach the world with intention rather than reaction. As you gradually extend your distraction-free morning time, you may be more centered, productive, and at peace. Seneca wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." By avoiding morning distractions, you're being wisely stingy with your most precious resource, your time and attention. So tomorrow when you wake up, resist the urge to plug into the digital world immediately. Instead, plug into yourself. Create a space of calm and intention. You're not just changing your morning, you're changing your life. One distraction-free dawn at a time. Few things are as important as being consistent in life. This is especially true when it comes to waking up simultaneously every day. The Stoics, who were practical in pursuing virtue, understood the power of having a routine. Let's see how we can use this wisdom to improve our mornings and in turn our lives. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. But let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." This wisdom applies beautifully to the habit of consistent wake-up times. It's not about sudden, dramatic changes, but steady, patient cultivation. But why is a consistent wake-up time so crucial? It's about more than just being an early bird or a night owl. It's about aligning ourselves with the natural rhythms of the world and our bodies. When we wake simultaneously each day, we're not fighting against our circadian rhythm, but working harmoniously. Marcus Aurelius started each day by reminding himself at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work." As a human being, by setting a consistent wake-up time, we're committing daily to our duties as human beings, our personal growth, and the betterment of the world around us. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, "But I'm not a morning person." I'd remind you of Seneca's words, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By establishing a consistent wake-up time, even if it's not at the crack of dawn, you're reclaiming time that might otherwise be lost to inconsistency. So how do we cultivate this habit? Start small. If you currently wake up at different times each day, choose a realistic time and stick to it for a week, even on weekends. Yes, I know the temptation of sleeping in. But remember, we're building a life here, not just managing a work week. As you set your alarm, remind yourself of Epictetus' words. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Reframe your consistent wake-up time, not as a burden, but a gift. A daily opportunity to engage with life on your terms. When the alarm goes off, don't negotiate with yourself. The Stoics valued decisive action. As Marcus Aurelius advised, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Let these words be your morning mantra as you rise. Remember, the goal isn't to become a morning person, if that's not your natural inclination. The goal is consistency. Whether you're waking at 5 a.m. or 9 a.m., what matters is that you're doing it consistently, creating a stable foundation for your day. As you build this habit, you may find other areas of your life falling into place. Your sleep quality may improve. Your productivity might increase. You might have more time for morning reflection or exercise. These are the ripple effects of one simple habit. Consistent action. Seneca wrote, "If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person." By establishing a consistent wake-up time, you're becoming a different person who values structure, honors commitments to themselves, and starts each day with intention. So tonight, as you set your alarm, remember, you're not just setting a wake-up time, you're setting the stage for a more disciplined, more purposeful life. And tomorrow, when that alarm sounds, rise with the knowledge that you're participating in an ancient and noble tradition. The tradition of meeting each day with consistency, courage, and love. In pursuing Stoic wisdom and morning routines, we might be tempted to become harsh taskmasters to ourselves. But today, let's explore a crucial aspect of Stoic practice that's often overlooked: self-compassion. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This power includes the ability to treat ourselves with kindness, especially when we fall short of our ideals. Now you might be wondering, isn't Stoicism about endurance and discipline? Where does self-compassion fit in? The answer lies in understanding that true strength comes not from rigid self-criticism, but from a balanced approach that acknowledges our humanity. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies to external events and our actions and perceived failures. When we miss our alarm, skip our morning meditation, or fall back into old habits, how we react to ourselves can make all the difference. Practicing self-compassion doesn't mean making excuses or lowering our standards. Instead, it's about responding to our shortcomings with understanding and a commitment to growth. It's recognizing that the path to virtue is not a straight line, but a series of attempts, failures, and renewed efforts. So how do we cultivate this self-compassion in our morning routine? Start by acknowledging that every day is a new opportunity. If yesterday's morning didn't go as planned, today is a chance to begin again. As Seneca advised, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. When you face setbacks, try this Stoic exercise. Speak to yourself like a good friend facing the same situation. Would you criticize them for hitting snooze once? Or would you encourage them to try again, acknowledging the challenge but focusing on the opportunity for growth? Remember, the goal of our morning routine is not perfection, but progress. Seneca reminds us we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Often our harshest critic is the voice in our head. By practicing self-compassion, we can quiet that critic and focus on meaningful change. This doesn't mean abandoning discipline. Instead, it's about finding a balance. As you build your morning routine, set realistic expectations. If you're not a morning person, don't expect to suddenly leap out of bed at 5 a.m. with a smile. Start where you are and gently push your boundaries. When you succeed in meeting your morning goals, please take a moment to acknowledge them. This isn't vanity, it's reinforcing positive habits. Recognizing your successes, no matter how small, is an exercise of this power. And on those mornings when things don't go as planned, take a deep breath and remember Epictetus' words. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Respond with kindness to yourself, learn from the experience, and then move forward. Practicing self-compassion in your morning routine isn't just about feeling good. It's about creating a sustainable practice that can weather the ups and downs of life. It's about building resilience, not through harsh self-judgment, but through understanding and persistent effort. So tomorrow morning, as you embark on your routine, carry with you this Stoic wisdom. Be as kind to yourself as you would be to others. Recognize your efforts, learn from your missteps, and keep moving forward. In this balance of discipline and self-compassion, we find the true strength of the Stoic path. In the grand tapestry of life, it's often the most minor threads that hold everything together. This chapter will explore the power of small, disciplined acts in our morning routine and how they can transform our days and lives. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig." This wisdom aligns beautifully with the words of Lao Tzu, who taught the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Both remind us that monumental change often comes from small, consistent actions. So what do these small, disciplined acts look like in the context of our morning routine? It could be as simple as making your bed as soon as you rise. This might seem trivial, but Admiral William McRaven famously said, "If you want to change the world, start by making your bed." It's a small victory that sets the tone for the day, a physical representation of order and discipline. Perhaps it's taking 5 deep breaths before your feet hit the floor, centering yourself for the day ahead. The Buddha taught, what you think you become. What you feel you attract. What you imagine you create. By starting your day with this small act of mindfulness, you're setting an intention for calm and focus. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water before anything else, honoring your body's need for hydration after hours of sleep. As the Greek physician Hippocrates advised, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." Water, the most basic of nutrients, is a morning medicine for body and mind. The key is consistency. As Will Durant wisely noted, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Each small, disciplined act, repeated daily, becomes a building block of character. Now, you might be thinking, how can these tiny actions make a difference? To this, I'd remind you of the words of Vincent van Gogh, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." It's not about the magnitude of each action, but their cumulative effect over time. Start by choosing 1 or 2 small acts to incorporate into your morning routine. It could be a minute of stretching, writing down 3 things you're grateful for, or simply taking a moment to state your intentions for the day. As Marcus Aurelius advised, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Remember, the goal isn't to radically overhaul your morning in one go. That's a recipe for burnout and disappointment. Instead, focus on small, manageable changes. As the Chinese philosopher Confucius taught, it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. When you inevitably face mornings where these small acts feel challenging, recall the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Your strength, discipline, and potential for growth lie within you, waiting to be expressed through these small morning acts. Over time, these small, disciplined acts become the cornerstone of a more purposeful, productive life. As you master one habit, you can gradually add others, but always remember the wisdom of Bruce Lee. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. It's not about perfect mornings, but consistent effort. So tomorrow, as you meet the day, remember the power of small, disciplined acts, whether making your bed, taking a moment to breathe, or simply smiling at yourself in the mirror. Know that you're not just going through the motions. You're building character, one small act at a time. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. In our journey to craft a meaningful morning routine, we arrive at a profound Stoic practice. Memento Mori, or remember that you must die. This isn't meant to be morbid, but a powerful tool for living fully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reminder of our mortality isn't about inducing fear, but inspiring purposeful living. Each morning, take a moment to reflect on the finite nature of your existence. This practice can be as simple as asking yourself, if this were my last day, how would I want to live it? It's about shifting perspective. Not dwelling on death. Seneca advised, let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day by remembering our mortality. Each morning, we're prompted to prioritize what truly matters. This practice encourages us to one live with intention, to express gratitude for another day. 3. You focus on what's truly important. For let go of petty concerns. Memento Mori isn't about being somber. It's about being present and appreciative. It's a reminder to make the most of our time, starting with how we approach each morning. So tomorrow, as you begin your day, remember this day is a gift, and it's up to you to make it count. Let the awareness of your mortality be not a burden, but a catalyst for living fully and purposefully. As we conclude our exploration of Stoic morning routines, let's reflect on a profound truth. The way we start our day shapes everything that follows. The ancient Stoics understood this, as do many of today's most successful individuals. Consider Jack Dorsey, who begins each day with meditation and exercise, or Jeff Bezos, who prioritizes family time in the morning. These modern leaders, like the Stoics before them, recognize the power of a purposeful morning routine. But remember, success isn't about mimicking others. It's about finding what works for you, guided by timeless wisdom. Whether it's practicing gratitude, avoiding distractions, or remembering your mortality, each element we've discussed is a tool for crafting a more intentional, fulfilling life. The Stoic morning routine isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about starting each day with purpose, resilience, and a commitment to personal growth. As you implement these practices, be patient with yourself. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. As you leave this video, I challenge you to choose one aspect of the Stoic morning routine and incorporate it into your life. Start small, be consistent, and watch as it transforms not just your mornings, but your entire approach to life. Thank you for joining us on this journey of Stoic wisdom. As you embrace these Stoic principles, consider the importance of reflection in your daily routine. Take a few moments each morning to reflect on your intentions and the values you wish to uphold throughout the day. This practice not only reinforces your commitment to self-improvement, but also anchors your actions in purpose. As Aristotle wisely noted, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. By dedicating time for self-reflection, you allow yourself the opportunity to align your daily actions with your deeper convictions. Incorporating journaling into your morning can amplify this process. Writing down your thoughts establishes clarity and presents a channel for processing emotions and challenges. A Stoic journal isn't merely about expressing gratitude, it's about confronting fears, acknowledging areas for growth, and setting intentions. As Seneca said, to wish to be well is a part of becoming well. Your words have the power to shape your mindset and approach. Furthermore, consider the role of community and connection. A Stoic understands the value of relationships and support systems. Whether it's sharing insights with a friend over coffee or seeking the wisdom of a mentor, fostering connections can enrich your perspective and infuse your routine with accountability. As Marcus Aurelius observed, when you wake up, think of the fruitful opportunities that await because of the people around you and the interconnectedness of life. Lastly, reinforce your commitment to daily discipline by integrating brief moments of silence or solitude into your morning. These pauses allow you to reset and clear your mind, ensuring you move into the day with a calm and focused energy. As the philosopher Thich Nhat Hanh emphasized, in the stillness, we cultivate the seeds of peace and understanding. Let's be honest, most of us are harder on ourselves than anyone else ever could be. We criticize, doubt, and second-guess ourselves daily, and the result, we feel stuck, overwhelmed, and exhausted. But what if I told you that the way you talk to yourself holds the power to change everything? Yes, everything. Your self-talk isn't just harmless chatter. It's the script your brain follows, the energy your body responds to, and the mindset that shapes your entire life. For the next few minutes, we're going to dive into how intentional self-talk can rewire your brain, boost your energy, and help you break free from old patterns. And by the end, I'll challenge you to a simple 3-day practice that might just transform your reality. Ready to see what happens when you change the conversation in your head? Let's begin with the first point, the power of self-talk in shaping your reality. Have you ever stopped to notice how the way you talk to yourself shapes your entire reality? Think about it when you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never make it." How does your day unfold? Probably with more frustration, self-doubt, and missed opportunities. But when you say, "I can handle this," or "I'm learning and growing," everything starts to feel different. That's not a coincidence. Your self-talk is the foundation of your mindset, and your mindset influences every aspect of your life, from the way you handle challenges to the way you seize opportunities. Imagine two people facing the exact same setback, let's say a rejected job application. One person thinks, "I knew this would happen. I am just not cut out for this." The other person says, "This is disappointing, but it's not the end. I'll refine my approach and keep trying." The first person might give up entirely, while the second person uses the setback as fuel to improve what changed. Not the situation, but the internal dialogue. One mindset leads to stagnation, the other to resilience and growth. This principle isn't new. The Stoics, who mastered the art of mental discipline, understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." The Stoics taught that while we can't control external events, we can control our internal responses. And self-talk. That's your internal response to every moment you encounter. So how do you use this power to shape a better reality for yourself? Start by becoming aware of your self-talk. Pay attention to the words running through your mind. Are they building you up or tearing you down? When you catch yourself, being overly critical. Pause and reframe. For example, instead of saying, "I can't handle this," try, "This is challenging, but I'm capable." It might feel forced at first, but over time it becomes second nature. Affirmations are another effective tool. Choose a few positive statements that resonate with you. I am strong, I am worthy. I am capable of growth. Repeat them daily, morning, night, or whenever. Self-doubt creeps in. Repetition strengthens these beliefs, and soon enough they become your default mindset. Visualization also plays a huge role. Close your eyes and see yourself succeeding. Whether it's nailing a presentation, reaching a personal goal, or simply being at peace, your brain starts to believe what it repeatedly envisions, and your actions align with that belief. But here's something we often overlook: self-compassion. Think about how you'd encourage a close friend going through a tough time. You wouldn't call them a failure for making a mistake, right? So why do it to yourself? Treat yourself with the same kindness when you stumble. Remind yourself that setbacks are part of the journey, not a reflection of your worth. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you care about deeply. When you do, your mind becomes a place of support, not sabotage. Your reality shifts, not because the world changes, but because you do too. Your thoughts create biochemical reactions in your body. Have you ever felt physically drained after a stressful day, even if you didn't do much physically, or felt energized simply because you were excited about something? That's not coincidence. It's chemistry. Every thought you have triggers a biochemical reaction in your body. This means your mindset isn't just influencing your mood, it's impacting your physical health and energy levels in real time. Let's break this down. When you have negative thoughts like, "I'll never get through this," your brain releases stress hormones such as cortisol. This hormone prepares your body for a perceived threat, increasing your heart rate and tensing your muscles. In the short term, it's useful for emergencies, but when negativity becomes a habit, your body stays in this stress state for too long, leading to fatigue, anxiety, and even illness. On the flip side, positive thoughts like "I can handle this" release feel-good chemicals such as dopamine and serotonin, which boost your mood, improve focus, and increase your overall energy. Picture this: Sarah, a young entrepreneur, faces a crucial business pitch. She spends days thinking, "I'm going to mess this up." By the time the pitch arrives, her body is already worn out from days of stress. Her mind is foggy and her confidence is shattered. Now imagine if Sarah had approached the same situation with, "I'm prepared, I can do this." Her body would have responded with calmness and clarity, giving her the best chance to succeed. The situation didn't change, her thoughts did, and so did her body's response. Stoicism, with its emphasis on inner discipline, aligns perfectly with this concept Epictetus taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reactions start with your thoughts, and those thoughts have a direct line to your body's chemistry. The Stoics believed that mastering your mind was key to mastering your life, and science now proves they were right. So how can you harness this connection for your benefit? First, start each morning with intentional self-talk before the day's stress kicks in. Take a moment to affirm your strength. "Today, I will handle whatever comes my way with calm and clarity." This sets a positive biochemical tone for your entire day. Second, practice mindfulness throughout the day. When negative thoughts arise, don't ignore them, acknowledge them, but then consciously shift your focus. Replace "this is too much" with "one step at a time." "I've got this." It's like flipping a switch in your brain, changing the chemical flow from stress to calm. Another practical tip: end your day by reflecting on 3 things you did well. This simple practice floods your brain with positive chemicals, reinforcing a cycle of confidence and well-being. Your body listens to every word, your mind speaks when you choose your thoughts carefully. You are not just improving your mindset, you are enhancing your health, energy, and quality of life. The power is in your hands, or rather in your mind. 3. Your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined experiences. Did you know that your brain processes what you imagine, almost the same way it processes reality? It's fascinating, but it also means that your self-talk and mental imagery have immense power. When you constantly visualize failure or doubt, your brain reacts as if those fears are real, reinforcing anxiety and hesitation. But when you imagine success, your brain starts to believe it's already happening, setting you up for actual achievement. Let's put this into perspective. Think of athletes before a big game. Many of them use visualization techniques, picturing themselves scoring the winning goal, crossing the finish line, or making the perfect play. This isn't just mental fluff, it's neuroscience at work. Their brains can't fully distinguish between the imagined success and the real thing, which boosts their confidence and sharpens their focus when the moment arrives. Now imagine applying this to your own life. Say you have a challenging presentation at work. If you spend the days leading up to it thinking, "I'll mess up, they'll see right through me," your brain is already preparing for failure. Your nerves spike, your voice shakes, and your mind goes blank. But if you take time each day to close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself speaking confidently, engaging your audience, and nailing every point, your brain registers that as a rehearsal. By the time you're actually present, it feels familiar, like you've already succeeded. Before you even start, this aligns perfectly with Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations emphasized the power of mental preparation. He would reflect each morning on potential challenges he might face, preparing his mind to respond with calm and clarity. While the Stoics didn't have modern neuroscience, their practices reflect what science confirms today. Your mind shapes your reality even before it happens. So how can you make this work for you? Start by creating a mental movie of your goals. Whatever you are working toward, be it personal, professional, or emotional, spend a few minutes each day vividly imagining yourself achieving it. See the details, feel the emotions, and immerse yourself in that success. Your brain will start to believe in that possibility, pushing you to take actions that align with that vision. When negative images pop up, don't panic. Acknowledge them. Then consciously replace them. If you see yourself failing, pause and repaint that picture. See yourself overcoming obstacles instead. This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about training your brain to focus on solutions rather than fears. And remember, repetition is key. The more you visualize success, the stronger the neural connections become. It's like building a mental muscle. Consistent practice leads to strength. Your brain is more powerful than you realize. When you feed it positive imagery, it doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your actions, your confidence, and ultimately your reality. 4. How your self-talk rewires your brain for success. Have you ever thought about how every word you say to yourself shapes, not just your mindset, but your brain itself? It's true. Your self-talk isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a signal that your brain uses to build or break neural connections. The more you repeat certain thoughts, the stronger those connections become, creating habits of thinking that can either empower you or hold you back. Positive self-talk rewires your brain to focus on solutions and possibilities. While negative self-talk traps you in cycles of fear and doubt, think of your brain like a path in the woods. The path you walk on most often becomes clear, well-trodden, and easy to follow. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not smart enough," or "I'll never succeed," that path becomes your brain's default route. But if you start creating a new path with thoughts like "I'm capable" or "I'll figure this out," it may feel difficult at first, like pushing through tall grass. But with repetition, that path becomes easier to walk, while the negative path grows over with time. Let's take an example from real life. Consider Jake, a young software developer struggling with imposter syndrome. Every time he faced a challenge at work, his internal dialogue screamed, "You are not good enough." Over time, that thought became automatic, making even small tasks feel overwhelming. But when Jake started practicing intentional self-talk, reminding himself, "I've solved problems before, and I can do it again," his brain began to shift. What once felt impossible started to seem manageable. Not because the work changed, but because his mind did. The science behind this is called neuroplasticity. the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Stoic philosophy, though ancient, echoes this modern understanding. Epictetus taught, "We become what we repeatedly do." The Stoics believe that through constant practice we can reshape our inner world. Much like modern neuroscience tells us, we can rewire our brains. So how do you start rewiring your brain? Through self-talk. First, identify your negative thought patterns. Write them down. Awareness is the first step to change. Next, for every negative thought, create a positive counter-thought. If your mind says, "I'm going to fail," counter it with, "I'm prepared and I'll give my best effort." This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about training your brain to find solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Consistency is crucial. As you weave these elements into your morning practice, remember this. It's not about crafting a flawless routine, but rather building a resilient mindset that can adapt and grow with you. With intention, reflection, and community, you lay the groundwork for a life steeped in Stoic wisdom, allowing each day to become an opportunity for growth and fulfillment. Embrace the journey, knowing that every small step taken is a stride toward a more meaningful life.